Hey there, welcome to episode 43 of FreshAirAtFive, the podcast. This week, as I got into listening to Prairie Rose Possibilities, which is a podcast started by Cami Cannikins out of Alberta. And so you're going to hear a number of thoughts that I have about different episodes there, and all manner of things throughout this podcast. There's lots of other goodness that's there, so I encourage you to keep on listening. Thanks for taking a chance on FreshAirAtFive. This guy here, he appreciates it. All right, so without further ado, here we go, episode 43. Bye.
Hi, I'm Batsheva Frankel from Overthrowing Education, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to FreshAirAtFive, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter. FreshAirAtFive is my regular attempt to exercise by walking about my neighborhood to take in podcast content, then reflect in an unedited video, which I finally post to my Twitter channel. This podcast will be a regular collection of the audio from these selfie videos. You can follow me on Twitter at FreshAirAtFive or check out my website, briancarpenter.com, for other content I have created and collected. Hey, PLN Monday, October 25, 2021. It's a great day. We just had a wind squall. Major storm hit the coast of British Columbia yesterday, and the winds were gusting out apparently on Vancouver Island at like 100 kilometers an hour. At my house here where I live, it was pretty blustery in the afternoon. My intention was to barbecue for dinner. And I did. I managed to do that, but that was only after the wind subsided and the rain stopped going actually almost completely sideways. It was pretty blowy here. Other good news is that my father-in-law has returned to his home in Alberta, and he is out of the hospital recovering from his open heart surgery. And other news, my wife returned home here, so it was great to have her back with us as a family yesterday. So that's what's going on in my life, and going to work today, and the conference is over from the past weekend, so it's hopefully going to slow down a little bit, but keep going at the pace that we do go. This morning I listened to a New to Me podcast, and it is a new podcast that has recently started at the beginning of October, and it is hosted by Cami Cannikins out of Alberta, and it's called the Prairie Rose Possibilities Podcast. She works in a rural school district and has now taken on meeting with different school leaders to talk about the projects and programs that are going on in the rural schools. In episode 1.8 of Prairie Rose Possibilities, Cami talked with Jean Kimber, who is the principal at South Central High School in Oyen, Alberta, and they talked about their Junior Badgers program that has started, which is a junior program to their Senior Badgers baseball, basically academy program. And it was great to hear about how the community grows and the school grows and excellence is developed in character as well. All right, thanks Cami for pushing record. Fantastic to hear, and have a great day. There's other episodes. Bye. One more thing for October 25, 2021. Just listen to a thought-provoking discussion about actually Tim's thoughts and a reflection of his about can't live without oil. Tim Stevenson on Science 360. That's Astro Stevenson, author of Beyond the Classroom and host of Science 360, the podcast. My friend who broadcasts out of Walnut Grove down the road here from me in British Columbia. And so Tim, is awesome to hear you push into can't live without oil. And you've done a great amount of research and understanding over the years, and your discussion about this is very intriguing to me. you know, you think about it, we can't live without oil right now. So right now we can't live without oil. But what about in the future? We're seeing it coming. We're seeing solar, we're seeing hydro, we're seeing different ways of turning a turbine, nuclear, that allows us to move something mechanical through a wire that will then create electricity, which is exactly what we all actually do need right now. That's what we all need right now, because for me to even record this video, I need electricity stored in a battery that I can take with me so I can walk around here out on the street in the morning. And you know, the lights that are here that I am enjoying because it's not pitch black out here come from electricity. You know, we have cars that rely on an electric spark for the internal combustion engine, or electric vehicles for that matter. But where does it come from? And those are great questions, Tim. I like how you put it to space, towards space exploration, and how if we had a visitor from another planet, how they would think we are still so antiquated in burning fossil fuels. And that's wow. You know, you think about it like that, like we've come a long ways, but not that far really. All right, take a listen to Tim Stevenson. Fantastic to hear, and thanks, Tim, for your thought provocation this morning. Okay, bye. Another one more thing for October 25, 2021. As I'm wrapping up Fresh Air at 5 this morning, I came across Mindset Monday with George Couros on his podcast, Innovators Mindset. And George, thanks for your fourth in your series of Mindset Monday with the fairy dust unicorn music. So fun, brings a smile to my face when I hear that. And you know, this morning you talked about meaningful measures and how we measure and stay accountable to making progress so that we can actually see some progression. We can see how we're doing and what are we doing to do that. You know, there's physical goals, there are, you know, professional goals, there are personal goals and things like that. But how do we measure to know that we're actually doing those things? You know, I can say my goal is to catch more fish, but if I don't pay attention when I'm out fishing, if I've caught fish and be mindful of that and have a way of remembering that, a year from now, will I go, okay, how'd that goal go? Did I catch more fish? And if I don't even know that I caught fish, let alone more than I did the previous year, that I can't measure that. So having something meaningful, something you can measure, is important. For me, one of the things I'm doing right now, part of Teachers on Fire 10,000 push-up challenge, is every week, and well, actually every day, I log the number of push-ups that I do on a spreadsheet that is public facing to a group of people. It's public, it's a small group, a private group, but there are a number of us that watch this spreadsheet and we cheer each other on. And the goal was 10,000 push-ups. I just crossed over 23,000, and it's amazing what happens when you write down your exercise habits like you are showing, George, and that you achieve today something. So, you know, Fresh Air at 5, I'm still walking. I'm out here walking. I'm on episode 43 of this, and I'm still listening to podcasts and learning, and I can go back in my show notes and go say, hey, I've done that. I did that for a long time. So, fantastic, George. Keep it going. Love it, man. And thanks for sharing out of your life. Okay, happy Monday. Bye. Hey PLN, it is Tuesday, October 26, 2021, and when I stepped out the door this morning, I'm like, oh yes, I hit the window. I hit the window of dryness, because all around on my Apple Watch, the weather says that it's like 90%, 80%, and then right now 0, but then after that it's going to be like 80, 90 and keep raining all day. And so I stepped out the door and I'm like, yeah, got it, nailed it this morning, and I was very happy. And then I got past that barrier, like George Couros says, of doing something for 5 minutes so that you can develop a habit and push past the pain or whatever. But mine was 5 minutes of happiness and peace as it wasn't raining. I started listening to a podcast, and then it starts raining. And while I'm already out here, so it's okay. So carry on, Carpenter. And that's what I'm doing. So that's how my morning has started so far. And it started as I listened to Just a Teacher, episode 39 with Trav Golter out of Australia. And Trav, thanks for bringing us the story of Dr. Jihan Jayawara. And I apologize for mispronouncing that, Dr. G. But he is a general practitioner in Australia now. And he tells a story that is really, wow, can't believe it. You know, his family fled the country where he was born in Civil War and moved to New Zealand, and his family, his parents, provided opportunity for him and his brother to have a better life. And isn't that what we do as parents, is we do our best to provide a better life for our kids. And I see that in my own kids. I see that how, you know, my mom was raised in Saskatchewan as she grew up on a farm and given opportunity that her parents didn't have. And, you know, that's what we do as parents and as teachers also. We do that in a small way by being involved in a student's life for a short period of time. But Dr. G talks about the impact that teachers have had on his life and the trajectory that they have made. So what are you doing, teachers, today to make a difference in a kid's life? Think about that. And I'm looking forward to part B of Just a Teacher coming up soon on episode 40 as Dr. G finishes his story. All right, talk to you later. Bye. One more thing for October 26, 2021. I just listened to Prairie Rose Possibilities 1.7 as Cami Kamanen brings us an episode where she talks to Stacy Nienweiler. I believe her name is Stacy. She's a principal at Ralston School in Ralston, Alberta, in southern Alberta. And she talks about an initiative that they started a year ago to get into outdoor education. And in the place where they live, their goal every day is to get the kids outside for a walk, except for when it's really super cold, and to get outside and learn in an outdoor environment space every day. So they need structures and they need outdoor classroom space around their school building to facilitate this. But that is fantastic, Stacy, as we hear that, you know, you're going to get the little ones and the older ones all the way to grade 9 engaged in learning about the land around them and the impact of the nature on them, as well as the indigenous culture that is in and around them through being part of this land that we, are living on, and we can work with the indigenous communities around us to learn about this land that they understand very much better than that we do. So yes, thanks so much for sharing, and Cami, awesome, keep it going, appreciate it, bye. One last thing for October 26, 2021. A few minutes ago, I was talking about how it was pouring rain, and that was okay because I'm out getting some fresh air, but how I enjoy it when it's dry. And just like that, the rain stopped, and it's now drier than it was. The ground's still damp, but it's not falling out of the sky, so I'm thankful and joyous about that. This morning, as I finish up my walk, I listened to episode 170 something, and I can't remember, Andrea, what number it was, of Neuroscience Meets Social Emotional Learning podcast with Dr. Andrea Samadi, as she is a neuroscientist and a doctor studying the brain and understanding how we think. And her podcast this morning was called Neuroscience of Beliefs, and talking about what we believe and how we believe, not specifically what we believe, but how belief makes a difference in our life. Think about it. What do you believe? What do you do about that belief every single day? Well, I was shocked when I heard her say that our beliefs come from the imagination center in our brain and are likely untrue or have limitations that don't make them 100% true. So, wow. Okay, so that's kind of stunning, because the things that I believe very, very passionately. But how can what we believe affect our everyday and drive us to do things that are difficult, that are challenging, And so, yes, consider these things and take a listen to her episode. I'll have the show number in the show notes as well as on the tweet that goes out with this today. Thank you, Andrea, for your thoughts. You know, this is the second, maybe the first or second time I've listened to your podcast. So welcome to Fresh Air at 5, my podcast, as I review the things that podcasters are doing and saying. Have a happy day, all, and believe in yourself, because what you believe can make a difference in your life. Okay, bye. Hey, PLN, October 27, 2021. It's Wednesday, and this morning I'm thankful that it's not raining on me. We've had a lot of rain here, and there's a special weather report coming saying that I think we're going to get wind and rain coming pretty good soon. So thankful that it's not raining on me right now. This morning, as I'm out for Fresh Air at 5, I listened to episode 97 of Got Tech, the podcast. And Eric and Nick, congratulations on being even right here. You're not at 100 yet, but this is fantastic. You guys have been doing this for a long time, and the level of podcast content that you're providing has affected the way I think about educational technology since my short time of listening, you know, maybe a year ago. And after you and I have connected, it makes such a difference just to hear you talk about some of the tools that we are using, but how you're using them. It's the educational utility of those. Jake Miller talks about educational duct tape, and we don't use duct tape because, you know, we want to use duct tape. We use it because we have a problem. And I like how you bring problems forward, and we have solutions through technology and content creation and things that we can have in our classroom to engage student learning. So yes, this episode 97, you talk about strategies for including gamification in your classroom. And people, this is a gold mine, like top drawer. Like, you need some encouragement on how to do something. Take a listen to this episode. Eric and Nick bring it, and if they bring it in this episode, they brought it in many other episodes I've listened to. So, gentlemen, thanks so very much. I can't even get into the beginning, start talking about the strategies that you use, because there are so many that you could use here. We have content creation ideas, video content that you can create, stickers and badges and certificates, and even some games. How can you play some games? So you don't have to have all the games created, but you could add content to a game service to help generate some ideas. All right, boys, thanks so much. Happy day. We'll talk to you guys all later. Bye-bye. One last thing for October 27, 2021. Just finishing up my walk, and you know, this morning was a struggle to get out of bed and get going. It's midweek, and I get into a lull on Wednesdays, but you know, because of putting so much energy into Mondays and Tuesdays. And so, anyhow, as I'm walking, I listen to Prairie Rose Possibilities, and this is a new podcast that has been started by Cami Kamanen. And no, sorry, Cami, let me start that again. It's produced by Prairie Rose School District, and Cami Canakins is the host, one of the hosts, and she is a tech coach out that way in Alberta, and goes out to the different schools and talks to the school leaders about projects that are going on in their school space. And it's not ed tech projects, it is project-based learning and different models for delivering instruction. And on episode 1.6, that she talks with Corey Steves from Foremost School in, I'm not sure where that is in Alberta, in southern Alberta somewhere, but they have a farm model, FAAF, Foremost Agricultural Resource Model. I think that's what it is, and they are engaged in having the whole school, K to 12, involved in learning about agriculture. They are in an agricultural community, but how can the students engage in learning about agriculture, about farming and growing plants and marketing and having a farmer's market and community engagement and all things like that. So it's pretty fantastic. So Corey, it's awesome to hear. Thank you, Cami, for sharing Corey's story, the Foremost School's story, because it's a great story, and there's many things that your school can do that are along the whole school lines we've done a couple things at my school, and it's exciting to see the community come around, the school community and authentic audience beyond the walls of your building. All right, have a happy day. That's it for me. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Hey PLN, it is Thursday afternoon, October 29, 2021, and this morning was soaking wet out, and I did not go for my walk, and it is still soaking wet out, but at least it's light now. This morning I gave myself permission to sleep in because I was tired, so I have done that. Do that for yourself as well. Give yourself a break. So this afternoon as I was out walking and doing papers with my daughter, I listened to Ignite EdTech podcast with Craig Kemp on episode 70 as he had on guest Tisha Poncio, and it was fantastic to hear Tisha talk about her 21 years of education, being in a classroom, and now moving over to Wakelet, and the difference that she's making in kids' lives and people's lives through that work that she's doing there. Thanks, Tisha, so much for the work that you're doing and the inspiration that you are to many out there on social media, Twitter, etc., and those places. Your big, bright smile all the time, and it's great to hear your voice and hear a bit more about your story. Wakelet, fantastic. Not a Wakelet user like I could be yet, but I'm working on it. And so yes, thanks for the reminder about Wakelet, and I got to get some more content curated in that space so that I have resources for my students and myself and other educators that I can share. All right, have a great day. Hey Craig, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Congratulations on episode 70 of your podcast. Fantastic to hear. Tell your friends, people, about Ignite EdTech podcast. Take a listen to yourself. Subscribe for Craig's sake. And he's got great content that he shares every single week. All right. Peace out, everybody. Bye-bye. Good morning, PLN. It is Friday, October 29, 2021. This morning is the end of a week. It's been a very full week. And, yesterday I spent time, sleeping in and getting some rest because I was so tired. But today I'm feeling better with energy. Had a great day yesterday at school, teaching and working with our students and working on our school newsletter. And so it was fantastic to get to hear this week right now. So this morning out for Fresh Air at 5. It's not raining anymore. It's been a wet week here, and so that's another thing that's encouraging as I'm out walking. This morning as I started walking, I listened to Prairie Rose Possibilities episode 1.10, and with Cami Cannikins out of Alberta, so Prairie Rose School District in southern Alberta, and she was talking with Nicole Neubauer out of Irvine, Alberta at Irvine School. And the Irvine community is a farming and agricultural community in rural Alberta. And they talked about the importance of agriculture in our world. And I'm a Canadian kid, grew up here, have a background, a history in my family of my grandfather being a farmer and my mom moving off the farm, coming to the city and getting into business, and just providing an opportunity for myself to have a better life and not understanding what the background is all about. And, my grandpa was a farmer. And I don't really understand the farming. I appreciate the farmers. I appreciate the work that they do in our world and providing food that I can buy and opportunities for things that I can do. But what I don't understand is the full breadth of Canadian farming and the work that Nicole and her team is doing there in Irvine is to grow that understanding. We need to grow the next generation of farmers so that we can keep eating here in Canada. Thanks so much. I appreciate it very much. Have a fabulous day. Take a listen for yourself. Okay, bye-bye. One more thing for October 29th, 2021. Wrapping up Fresh Air at 5 this morning. I listened to Educational Duct Tape, and I don't know the episode number, Jake, but it is the episode that you had the partial credit guys on your podcast to talk about geo tools and geo stuff. And Donnie Piercy, Jeff Heil, and Jesse Lubinsky, have the Partial Credit podcast, and it's light-hearted educational look at the educational system and a bunch of different things that are there. I was privileged back in 2015 or 16 and 17, I believe it was, to hear both Jeff Heil and Jesse Lubinsky at EdTech Team Vancouver Google Summit. And I don't think, Donnie Piercy, that our paths have crossed, but your name is way up there with significant contributors to EdTech Team. So thanks for the work that you're doing, and thanks for being a part of the Educational Podcast Network. I'm not sure if you guys know, but Fresh Air at 5 is a podcast in the Educational Podcast Network with you and Jake and many others. So keep on sharing the word, keep on sharing what you do. And Jesse, I remember learning about Revenge of the Sheets at Google Summit. And Jeff, you talked about breaking down a complex Google document and looking at all the features that are there. And I really like that way of teaching, that you give us an end product and go, how do we get there? I've been doing that in a very light way with my students of how do we make that, and teaching them how to break that down. So it's fantastic. All right, I'm only halfway through this. The laughter and joy that I hear from these four guys and their, picks of 80s songs, you got to go listen to that. That's worth listening to right there. And also, just they started getting into Google Earth Talk, and that is a tool that I haven't used a whole lot. Need to dig into more. So based on me listening to your conversation a little bit right here, I'm going to go and take a look at Google Earth a bit more even later today. Happy Friday, all. Nice to hear you guys. I got to keep listening to the rest of the episode. Peace out. Bye. As my one word for 2021 is appreciate, I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific podcast episodes in the show notes for your learning convenience. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoy this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can also be found on Voice Ed Radio. Your voice is right here, and on the Education Podcast Network, podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day and get some fresh air before the day is out, and take care of yourself, because you're worth it.